Most street fights are so avoidable. I want to dedicate this video to 3 things that I believe will keep us out of a street fight 99% of the time. I'm just going to tell you up front, I'm going to be extremely candid in this video. I'm probably going to make some people mad, but that's just the way that it is, because this issue can be fixed easy. Because of the nature of my content, I watch a lot of footage. And you would think a lot of these street fights that we see on the internet would be things that are going on between middle schoolers and high schoolers, but no, unfortunately, these things are happening among what is supposed to be mature adults. I wish that this schoolyard fighting that's going on everywhere was something that was limited to younger people who have not fully grown up yet and come to a place of maturity in life, but it's still happening with the adults just as much as it's happening with the kids. The problem is it's more dangerous in the adult sphere and there's more implications. There are those rare occasions where a responsible adult will get looped into something and they have to defend themselves, but I'm not talking about that in this video. I'm talking about these street fights that we willingly throw ourselves at. To the people who believe that a street fight is a way you settle beef with somebody else, I want you to think about that belief for a minute. Do you think that a street fight is simply going to come down to 2 guys, simply throwing hands and walking away with arms around each other? Well, if you believe that, then go get some boxing gloves and sanction that thing a little bit. But in reality, a lot of street fights end very violently with terrible injuries. Some people not even breathing at the end of the fight. To think that that's how you're going to settle a dispute with somebody else is stupid. It's immature. If you just want to throw hands, get some boxing gloves on, get some headgear. You're not settling anything in a bare knuckle, no holds barred street fight. You're just setting yourself up for prison time or death. Avoiding street fights comes down to minding 3 things. Let's talk about the first one, and that is minding our business. Let's face it, a lot of people end up in the conflicts that they do because they don't mind their own business. They stick their nose in other people's business. They hang around other people's business too much and they get too involved in it. And then they have something to say, and then the next thing you know, they're in a conflict. A lot of people have a hard time minding their own business and not meddling in other people's affairs, and they get intertwined with people. Next thing you know, they're standing out in somebody's front yard getting in a fight. Let's face it, a lot of these fights going down in the ghetto are going down because these people are not involved in anything productive. They've got too much idle time on their hands to be involved with everybody else and what everybody else is doing and what everybody else is saying. I know a lot of people who are living impoverished lives are a lot more angry and a lot more prone to these things, but it still don't make it right. The second thing that will keep us out of a street fight is minding our words. Some people talk too much and they're always writing a check with their mouth that their behind can't cash. We can't go around spouting off whatever words we want to say, because there's a lot of people out here that don't want to talk with their words. They want to talk with their hands, and they're waiting on somebody to say something. I don't care how grown up someone is. Words can get 2 adults fighting in a heartbeat. Imagine how many fights would be canceled out today if it wasn't for this, man. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. This is why we need to be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to get angry. There's plenty of people out here who avoid getting in fights. They live their whole life without getting in fights because they watch their mouth. I'm not trying to be harsh when I say this, but if you've got somebody that likes to run their mouth, it's only going to be a matter of time before somebody shuts it. Number 3, and probably the most important, if we would mind the company that we keep and the atmospheres we hang out in, we probably could avoid a street fight 99.9% of the time. With all the street fight footage that I watch, here's where the fights are going down. They're going down out in front of a club somewhere, out in front of a bar. They're going on in the street somewhere of a conflict that started in a bar and it's now bled out onto the road. I see it in bad neighborhoods where too many people who need to be at work are standing around all the wrong people. Got all these adults just hanging out in the street, hanging out around a bunch of people that don't fully know each other, that are not for one another. Dudes hanging out in gas station parking lots, cussing at some guy who's parked over here over some gesture. Man, people put themselves in these environments. Anytime you get a bunch of knuckleheads just aimlessly hanging out somewhere together, it's never a good thing. Some people just need to go to work, man. Some people need to go home and work on a project. Some people need to go to the gym. Just get involved in something productive and quit hanging around idiots all the time, because then you end up getting in a street fight and you're standing in a courtroom and maybe even doing jail time. For what? This stuff is primarily avoidable, and nobody's talking me out of that, and nobody's changing my mind. This stuff is social violence. It can be avoided. Now, I train personally for asocial violence. I train for people who are coming at me no matter how I'm trying to avoid it. Stop the fighting. I'm out. Take care.